The Electrum Archive, Issue 1, is a science fantasy TTRPG zine, inspired by games such as Ultraviolet Grasslands and Elder Scrolls III Morrowind. Since Morrowind is my favorite Elder Scrolls game, I had to check this one out. Get your adventuring gear ready and prepare those ink inhalers. We are delving into the Electrum Archive. The PDF of this zine is 72 pages long, featuring a full-color front and back cover and black and white interior art. I have a hard time comparing the art style to anything I've seen before, but I will say that it's really, really cool. It straddles to me the line between playful and gritty, and it's just very evocative. Just flipping through the zine and looking at the artwork tells you that this is not your regular fantasy TTRPG world, and makes you want to learn more about it. Big shout out to Emiel Boven, Logan Stahl, Charles Ferguson Avery, and Tom Dugem for making this amazing art. The Electrum Archive is set on the world of Orn, a science fantasy planet whose people were brought here by godlike creatures who have vanished since then. There are vast tracts of dangerous wilderness between a variety of settlements where merchant houses vie for power and ink-inhaling sorcerers tap into the powers of the realm beyond. One very important setting element is that things like gold and silver are abundant, and that the main currency is so-called Elder Ink. The basics of the setting are nicely presented in the foreword as 7 core principles. As much as I love reading dozens of pages about a cool new world, I appreciate getting the essential knowledge presented as soon and as concisely as possible. Character creation is pretty simple. You roll up your starting attributes and hit points, pick a background and archetype, equipment, and of course, a name for your character. Attributes are generated by rolling a d4 for each attribute and writing down the result. The Electrum Archives uses the attributes Agility, Archive, which is your intellect, literacy, and ability to search through information, Body, Mask, which is your attribute for charisma and stealth, and Spirit, which measures your intuition and mental endurance. Your background gives additional bonuses to 2 of these attributes, plus a few talents and languages. Archetypes are this game's classes, and there are 3, each with their own unique gimmicks. The Fixer is similar to a rogue or expert, and gets better in a variety of skills as they level up. The Vagabond is the fighter or warrior, with the ability to use combat maneuvers and fashion trophies out of defeated foes. The Warlock, aka the coolest archetype in the game, gets to learn random spells by tapping into the realm beyond. We will take a closer look at magic and spells a little bit later in this video. The core mechanic of this game revolves around attribute checks. Whenever the outcome of an action is uncertain, the Seer, aka the game master in this game, asks for an attribute check. The player then rolls a d10. If they roll equal to or lower than their attribute score, they succeed. If the character has a situational advantage, they roll 2d10 and pick the better result, while disadvantage means rolling 2d10 and picking the worst result. Initiative in combat is handled by speed rolls, where characters who want to fight in a turn have to roll below the speed of their weapon to act before the enemy. Terrain and distance is abstracted into zones, which govern distance between combatants and can have zone effects, such as difficult terrain or poisonous gas. When your character is reduced to 0 HP from damage, you roll a d6 to see what happens. On a 1, 2, or 3, your character dies, while on a 4 or higher, they are unconscious. Once their wounds get treated, they return to 1 hit point, but take a so-called scar. Advancement is done via XP, or experience points. At the end of a session, the group goes through a list of questions. For each applicable question, you roll a die, and the highest rolled result determines the XP every party member gets. For example, if the party has found treasure worth less than 100 drops of Elder Ink, you roll a d4, while establishing a meaningful relationship with a faction or NPC means you roll a d6. When a character has 5 times their current level in XP, they gain a level and increase HP, attributes, and get new archetype features. While I do like each party member getting the same amount of XP, I'm not too sure about the randomization of how much XP you gain exactly. Then again, there's not too much XP necessary to move up a level, so bad luck on your rolls might not slow down leveling too much. Let's talk about magic. Just like Elder Ink powers this game's economy, it also powers the spellcasters. In order to perform magic, a warlock has to use an inhaler and absorb the ink within. Warlocks generate the names of their spells randomly based on a set of tables. These names range from Feast of Iridescent Light to Luminous Crown. What the spell actually does is revealed on first use, when the seer and the player of the warlock together settle on the effect and its potency. The potency determines the scope of the spell, how many creatures it targets, and how much damage it could do. The higher the potency of the spell, the more ink drops it costs to cast. If the warlock does not have all the ink necessary, they pay the remaining cost with their own life force, aka their hit points. Now, let me be clear. I'm a total sucker for these kinds of magic systems, where magic is mysterious and vague and not codified. Magic just becomes more interesting to me when even I, as a player, don't know what my spell exactly does, and trying out new spells sounds really exciting. However, for this to work, players and the seer have to work together to find a good balance between spells feeling mysterious, but also functional enough that they are not dead weight on your character sheet. It can feel really bad if a spell called Feast of Iridescent Light sounds super cool and turns out to be really tame, or when a spell turns out to be of an immensely high potency and knocks out your character. Teamwork makes the dream work in this case, and that is especially true when working out what spells do in the Electrum Archive. A large part of this zine is dedicated to setting material, locations, and factions. While I would love some more information on some of these places and people, I feel like what is in the zine is enough to get started, giving you a good idea of the vibe of places and the goals of each faction. Included in the PDF version is also a map of the region, which is set up like a point crawl. Instead of providing exact distances between different regions, we get how much time it takes to travel there. I really like that level of abstraction, and I feel like the map also gives a good idea of where a party can travel to from where they currently are. In conclusion, the Electrum Archive offers a simple rule system with a very OSR-like vibe of rulings over rules. This is most embodied by the rules for Magic, which makes them feel very mystical but also leaves room for debate and mismatched expectations. The part that the Electrum Archive excels in is the setting and the way it is presented in this zine. Descriptions are concise but evocative, and the art translates the vibes of the setting into a visual medium. If you're looking for a science fantasy game with easy rules and a vibrant and exciting world, definitely check out the Electrum Archive. Link to the game is in the description below. Thanks for watching, take care, stay safe, and see you soon.